Y'all, I have lost count of how many times I have hit the record button. And this was supposed to be a Leroy video, but I just don't feel very funny right now. You know what I mean? My home state just went through one of the single biggest hurricanes that has ever hit the Gulf Coast. It was Hurricane Laura, for those of you watching in the future. If there's a future, I don't even know at this point. My family's okay. Hopefully y'all's are too. And yes, sometimes I really do talk like Leroy because, I mean, I exaggerate it in the video, but I am from Louisiana, and it, you know, a lot of my accent got trained out of me in the military through linguistic training and stuff like that. So this video, like I said, I've hit the record button so many times. I'm going to tell you why I'm homeschooling. This is why I'm homeschooling. Because I see a country full of people who can't think for themselves. I refuse to raise people who can't think for themselves. A lot of times as a father, I do have a very strong sort of drill sergeant mentality to stuff. That's how I was raised. But I also try to encourage thought, mindfulness. I'm not teaching some of this stuff because I think I'm some sort of fucking spiritual teacher or some shit. I'm trying to share with you stuff that's helping me get through my dark nights of the soul and stuff that's, you know. But I look around at a nation full of people gone to public school their entire life. And I went to public school. I went to a pretty damn good school. We weren't technically a magnet school, but we kind of were. And we had some great programs. We were, 4A, and we, I think by sophomore year, we're second in the state in football, and our band director went on to become like the army conductor who welcomed the Pope to DC with the army band. I had high caliber teachers. I had high caliber students around me. I had the benefit of being in the gifted program because my mom fought her ass off to get me into it. And that single thing, having that, changed probably my entire life trajectory. Was having teachers that questioned me, that made me think, made me ask questions, made me question everything. And I think that's something that we've lost, and I think that's something that's incredibly important to teach. I think what we do right now as a nation, we are in our darkest hour. I really think right now, our darkest hour literally since the Civil War. Hopefully it's the darkest hour. And I think we're here because we have a nation full of people who can't think for themselves. They go watch whatever the fuck they see on Fox News, and they're afraid of whatever the fuck they're told to be afraid of. Or they go to CNN and they're afraid of that. Or they go to fucking whatever the fuck they watch. And that's what they're afraid of because some dude in a suit or some chick in a dress told them to be fucking afraid of it. And that's not the children I want to raise. I refuse to raise human beings who live that way. I refuse to do them that level of disservice. Like I said, I've really struggled with this video. And it's funny that I wound up on homeschooling of all things. But we try to teach our children in questions. And it's called the Socratic method. You don't teach children facts. We have this idea in our country that children are like this empty chalkboard and that we have to fill it up. Or children are an empty notebook, and now our job as teachers, as parents, as a society is to fill up their notebook with facts. That doesn't do shit for those kids. What our job is to do is fill up that notebook with questions. Every single page in that notebook, what's the top of it? The top line is a question. And go find the answers. Our current educational system is based on a system that was developed at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in the U.S. Shortly after, we decided that it was probably not a great idea to have 5-year-olds running factory machines. So what do we do with all these kids? Because now the parents have to be in the factories, right? This is unnatural. Our whole society is so far from anything resembling anything we have evolved to do that we literally, our brains just can't comprehend what's happening. We're constantly bombarding ourselves with dopamine and cortisol, dopamine, cortisol, dopamine, cortisol, and that's all we're doing. And the idea behind our common our public school system was to basically train factory workers. We weren't trying to train the next Einstein. We weren't trying to train the next Marie Curie. We were trying to train the next Bob or Joe standing on a factory line making parts for Ford. That's not a viable educational system. I'm homeschooling because I've noticed since the shutdowns began, and we here in Michigan are opening up a little bit more, as you can see from all the fucking traffic. I noticed, and this is no disrespect to the school systems that our children were in before. They did a fantastic job. We really have been blessed with a really good school system that our children attended. But what we noticed in just a couple of months of going, okay, we can't let your little brains rot until God knows when this is over. So we're gonna, we signed them up for Khan Academy, and we found all these educational videos, and we got a bunch of books, and we just really took an active role in going, okay, we don't have a school system, let's replace it. And what we noticed was how much our children started learning. My 4-year-old has started reading this week. He went from couldn't read last week to could read this week. And I got to be part of that. And I'm not saying he can read Tchaikovsky. Hell, I'm not sure I can read Tchaikovsky at this point. But holy crap, what an amazing thing to see. I'm seeing my kids grasp these concepts that I know they've struggled with. And I'm able to find those weaknesses in their education and target them. And I can take time. My wife and I can cater to their needs and go, okay, you're weak in this subject, but you're really strong in this subject. So if you really like this subject, please keep learning, but let's work on this subject and shore you up a little bit. The public school system just doesn't have that capability. The The public school system may have the capability. It's just we haven't had the willpower to implement that capability. We have not at any point really sat down and gone, this is what we need to do. And let me tell you why. It goes back to that factory farming style of education that we have in this country. And then you start getting into the point that, why do we have so many standardized tests? Why don't you look at who gets paid for all the Scantron sheets and the standardized testing? Why don't you look into who gets paid for all those machines that you have to have? It's a business. And it's a business run on your tax dollars. And I don't want to be part of that anymore. I don't want to subsidize corporations going after our children's education for a profit. I want to raise good human beings who are aware that science is a thing and that math is a thing and that there's often more than one way to look at something. I want to raise children who don't justify atrocities. I want to raise children who are good human beings, good citizens, good neighbors. I want to raise children who know how to do shit. And that's why I'm homeschooling. And it's not as hard as everybody's fucking making it out to be. Jesus fuck, go sign up for Khan Academy. They got just about everything done for you. And if you don't know something about some of that shit, I don't know, go to the Google and look it the fuck up. We're so unwilling to put effort into our own fucking life. All our effort goes into working for our overlords. That's why I homeschool. Not because I want my children to think like me. I want my children to think like themselves. And that's why I homeschool. I'm Chad Rushing.